Your motivation to get into medical school is most likely the reason why you're spending time studying for the MCAT. But what exactly does the MCAT expect you to know about motivation? My name is Netta Bianchi, and welcome to the Kaplan MCAT Science Review video on motivation. In this video, we'll delve into what motivation actually is and look at various theories describing motivation and how it relates to behavior. Your learning goal for this video is to be able to identify and describe the different theories on motivation. This learning goal will enable you to answer questions like the following about matching a theory with a description of motivation. Before we dive into any theories of motivation, let's first look at the term's meaning to get some background. Motivation is the driving force behind our actions. It can be extrinsic, meaning based on external circumstances. For example, trophies and money can be rewards given for a certain behavior or for avoiding a punishment. Working hard to get praise from someone else or studying for months to get that wonderful score on test day are all acts that will give you external, tangible results. Motivation can also be intrinsic, meaning based on internal drive or perception. For example, doing something for the pleasure of the task, like painting or reading because you enjoy it, are forms of internal motivations. So a student mastering some content material because of a genuine interest in the topic is motivated by an intrinsic factor. But if he is mastering the content for the goal of achieving higher grades, his motivation is extrinsic. Now let's take a look at some theories for what motivates us. In the instinct theory, instincts are at the root of people doing certain behaviors. And instincts are evolutionarily derived patterns of behavior that are in response to some kind of a stimuli. The idea of instincts leading to behaviors can be seen in animals and humans. For example, migrating birds instinctually travel in V's, and wolves instinctually run in packs following an alpha male. In humans, thumb sucking is a human instinctive behavior that babies have as a response to stress. The aim is to self-soothe. Because of its focus on instincts as the source of behaviors, this theory puts little significance in how learning and culture can influence behaviors. Another theory related to motivations is the arousal theory, which claims that we carry out certain actions in order to maintain a level of alertness called arousal. Arousal is a state where we are awake and we react to stimuli. The Yerkes-Dodson law helps to summarize the ideas surrounding the arousal theory. When we have low arousal levels, we seek to increase our arousal and therefore our performance to an optimal level. In a similar way, when we have very high arousal levels, we seek to decrease that to reach that optimal level once again. This is the Yerkes-Dodson law, which postulates that there is a U-shaped correlation between our awakeness and our performance. While the arousal theory focuses on how arousal motivates us to do certain things, the drive reduction theory centers on our drives. This theory states that our motivations come about as we try to reduce uncomfortable states that we're in and also reduce our drives. Drives are internal states of tension that come about without the influence of external factors. In this way, drives help us to clear tensions because they make a situation uncomfortable for us and then ensure that we are motivated to get rid of that discomfort and the internal tension that's created by it. Our primary drives are related to physical needs, or what we might call our creature comforts: food, water, warmth, and more. In other words, these primary drives are associated with our motivations leading to maintaining homeostasis. So primary drives are related to bodily processes. When physical needs like water, food, and warmth are not met, it creates an uncomfortable situation. The desire to eliminate this uncomfortable state motivates a reaction and drives us to take action. We can relieve these internal tensions by tackling each individually. So if we're thirsty, we're motivated to get up and drink water. If your stomach is growling from hunger, you'll get up and rummage through your fridge to find something to eat. If you're cold, you'll find some kind of shelter, maybe grab a cozy blanket or sit next to a fireplace. While primary drives focus on the essentials of life, secondary drives are those that do not have to do with biological processes, but rather they're based on learning. Secondary drives might include gaining money or achieving a certain career. But these drives do also include certain emotions like nurturing, love, and aggression. An example of a secondary drive might be your drive to attend a medical school and become a physician. As the name implies, need-based theories focus on our needs. These theories suggest that we allocate our resources and our energies so that we can best satisfy our needs. Our motivation is determining which behaviors we find to be most important to pursue. Maslow created a hierarchy of need, and as we move up the pyramid, needs decrease in their necessity or importance. At the base are the physiological needs, such as breathing, food, sleep, and other purely biologically relevant needs. The next most important is safety of everything from our bodies to our property and family. The third level from the bottom are the needs of love and belonging, which include family, friends, and sexual intimacy. Fourth from the bottom is esteem needs, such as confidence and respect. Finally, self-actualization, or realizing your full potential, is at the top of the hierarchy of needs. This means it is the least essential according to this theory. In Maslow's hierarchy, the highest priority is given to meeting our lowest unmet level. So, if we have low self-esteem, but are having difficulty breathing, our motivations will focus in on figuring out how we can breathe better. This is most definitely the highest priority here in terms of survival. Another needs-based theory is the self-determination theory, which emphasizes the role of three universal needs. These are universal because according to this theory, everyone has them, and the need for these things is all important. It's the most significant driving factor for our behaviors. Autonomy is the first of these universal needs, and it involves our need to have control over our actions and our ideas. For example, we would like the autonomy to decide our own schedule. Competence is another universal need, which focuses on our need to excel at tasks that we find difficult. For example, we might want to excel at a sport or at work or school. Relatedness is the final emphasized need, which focuses on our desire to feel accepted and desired by others. Usually, this involves seeking relationships with other people. There are several other theories on motivation that you need to know for the MCAT. The incentive theory focuses on a reward and punishment system, so our behaviors can lead to a reward or a punishment. The incentive theory says that we focus on things that will give us a reward and avoid punishment. So we are not motivated by need or arousal, but by a desire to pursue a reward and to avoid punishment. For example, in a job, you might work a certain way so as to move toward a promotion and to avoid getting fired. In the expectancy value theory, our motivation, or at least the amount of motivation we have for something, depends on our expectations of success in reaching that goal. And it also depends on the degree to which we value succeeding at that goal. So in essence, this theory creates a formula where our expectation of success plus the value we place in that successful result adds up to the amount of motivation we will have or need in order to be successful. Finally, the opponent process theory indicates that motivations are destructive if they cause or result in self-harm. The theory explains the motivation of ongoing drug use and tolerance. In the United States, the most widely used psychoactive substances are nicotine, caffeine, and alcohol. If we take the example of a depressant like alcohol or sleeping pills, by taking that depressant, we decrease arousal or alertness. Over time, continued use of the depressant will lead the body to change its physiology to counter the effect of that drug. So in essence, we are decreasing sensitivity to that substance. This means that naturally occurring depressant in our body will not be as effective, and this is called tolerance. It also means that we'll require much more of the substance to achieve the same level of arousal. So in this way, people require more of the drug to maintain the effect that they wanted. Unfortunately, the body will continue to change physiology in response to that drug, leading to further addiction. We've now explored several theories on motivation, but let's examine an application of motivation by looking specifically at human motivations for sexual behavior. There are several factors that influence this motivation. Physiological factors include secretion of hormones, such as androgens or estrogens, which have shown a strong correlation with sexual desire. Certain smells have also been associated with sexual desire. Cultural factors are also important because they influence what we find to be attractive or pleasurable, as well as what is socially acceptable. Finally, cognitive factors have demonstrated an effect on sexual motivation. Anxiety and perceived intimacy are examples of such cognitive factors. Let's see how the MCAT might test the concepts in this video. Read and answer this practice question. The answer is D. Recall that in Maslow's theory, the highest priority is the lowest unmet level. Securing an apartment is shelter, important for safety and security, falling under level 2 of the hierarchy pyramid. Finding friends and a sexual partner fall under the third level of love and belonging. Notice that a sexual partner involves sexual intimacy and therefore is not categorized here as a physiological need. Mastering a skill falls under level 4 as the least necessary need. If you'd like to review this concept, look back at the needs-based theories. Try your hand at this practice question. The answer is B. Only drive reduction talks about internal tension caused by unmet needs, which is the definition of the drive reduction theory. Internal tensions are key to this question. Notice that self-determination theory is associated with needs as well, but it does not relate to internal tensions that the question alludes to. If you had trouble with this question, review the theories of motivation. Read and answer this practice question. The answer is B. Instinct theory places emphasis on instincts rather than learning and culture. But unlike answer choice D, it occurs over the course of life and is not specific to a particular age. If you had trouble with this question, review the instinct theory of motivation. Let's look at some of the takeaways from this video. We scrutinized numerous theories in this video, beginning with the instinct theory, which deals with evolutionarily programmed instincts and how those lead to behaviors. For example, a desire to self-soothe can lead babies to suck their thumbs. The arousal theory focuses on how we attempt to achieve an optimal level of alertness, which will then lead to an optimal level of performance. Drive reduction theory emphasizes our desire to remove drives and to be more comfortable. Our drives are split into primary drives and secondary drives. Needs-based theories place a special emphasis on our desire to satisfy our needs. These theories include Maslow's hierarchy of need and the self-determination theory. The incentive theory focuses on how behaviors can lead to rewards and punishments. Our motivations then focus on our desire to gain rewards and to avoid punishments. The expectancy value theory sets up a formula in which our achievement of a goal depends on our expectation of success as well as the value we place on that success. Finally, the opponent process theory is a theory that explains the motivation behind ongoing drug use as well as the reason for tolerance in drug use. We covered these theories in great detail earlier in this video. Thank you for joining me in the Kaplan MCAT Science Review video on motivation. I wish you the very best of luck in your studies.